Hello and welcome back to In the Wings, a CTC podcast. My name is Scott Dunlap and I am your host. And today I have with me Amber Brown.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, Amber. I have known you since you were a child.
Yes, you have. Since I was 21.
No, I knew before that.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I remember you in Bambi.
Oh, my goodness.
In the youth theater.
Holy moly.
I mean, we weren't like, I didn't know you, but I knew who you were. Yeah, so
crazy.
You've been here a minute.
Yes.
So
yes.
that was Bambi was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I did 2 shows. I don't know that I was in Bambi, though.
You were in Bambi.
I was in Raggedy Ann and Andy, and then I was in The Trial of Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Oh, then you may actually predate me.
Oh.
Not predate me in the I've been here a long time. But I think that was Gary, the youth theater under Gary. Yes. Raggedy Ann and Andy.
I want to say both times I was directed by Rodney.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. He was my teacher too when I took acting classes here as a kid.
And I remember you in Beauty and the Beast. Mm-hmm. That I do remember.
Yes, I was. One of my favorite shows of all time.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
So tell us a little bit about, for people who don't know who you are, your background and what you do.
So I'm originally from Chattanooga and born and raised, and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia about 10 years ago and started doing professional theater all across Georgia. And I worked as an intimacy coordinator, as a director, as a props designer, and a little bit of acting here and there. So I went to Kennesaw State, graduated from there. Go Owls, hooty hoo. And I am now in my MFA at the University of Idaho.
Awesome.
Yes.
Right now you're directing Angry Raucous and Shamelessly Gorgeous. Mm-hmm. What do you do during the day? What is like your daytime job?
I work still in Atlanta, going back and forth, doing directing, intimacy direction, etc.
Oh, wow.
So I'm kind of busy right now, but it's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you think that growing up in Chattanooga has affected who you have become, or your experience even at the theater center as a young person? Yeah. How has that affected you, the trajectory of who you are now?
I feel like when I was younger, I got diagnosed with ADHD. And my mom, she will always forever say, I knew that you were extra and I knew that you were dramatic. And I knew I needed to put you into something where you could let all that energy out. And so she enrolled me into some classes here at Chattanooga Theater Center with Rodney Van Valkenburg. And I loved it. It was a way for me to get out my energy. It was a way for me to be creative and not to feel like I was just always causing a ruckus in class, you know, because I was that person that was constantly talking, constantly getting in trouble. And it was just an outlet for me to say, oh, okay, there's a way that I can get my energy. Yes, there's a place
to do that.
Yes. And that really shaped me as an artist because I love to give others that outlet, you know, working with different companies. I tend to lean towards those people who are neurodivergent, like myself, and people that, you know, are on the outskirts. That really helped me because Rodney would always say in class, just be who you are. Like that sticks out in my mind still to this day. And that's what I want to impress upon people is be who you are. It's okay because you're in a safe space. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because also acting is a lot of times people think acting is about becoming someone else, and it can be, and it sometimes is. But most often, what we're looking at when we're casting people is who are you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
so it is important to be yourself, even if that is pretending to be somebody else.
Yes.
You know, Yeah.
Which is fun.
It is fun. It's a lot of fun. So what brought you on with Angry Raucous? How did that come about?
Yeah. So I moved back to Tennessee mainly because I got really sick in January and February. A lot of people don't know, but I was diagnosed with BPPV, which is a vertigo disorder.
Oh, okay.
So at any given time, if my blood sugar goes high or if I'm tired or anything, I can just pass out or get dizzy. So I had to move back. My mom is taking care of me, getting me back, and just trying to navigate through this new challenge of this illness. And so when I moved back, I reached out to Rodney and yourself. And Rodney said, "Oh, we were looking for an intimacy coordinator or intimacy director. And would you like to come on board with Prelude to a Kiss?" And I loved that production. The team, the production crew, the cast, everybody in that play was just a dream to work with. And then from there, Rodney asked if I could do Waitress, which was also a dream team. And then from there, he said, "Would you like to direct the next show in the Circle series, which was Angry, Raucous, and Shamelessly Gorgeous by Pearl Clegg?" And I just happen to really know her works because I lived in Atlanta for so long. And she is a prolific playwright.
An author,
Right? And everything magical.
And like she's an Oprah's book club person too, right?
Yes,
like,
she is. She is really amazing. So it's been really neat to see going from Atlanta, where I saw her plays being done in the Alliance Theater at Actors Express, then to come to Chattanooga and you guys say, "Hey, we'd like for you to do that." It was full circle for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you hit on something that probably people that are listening or watching are going to immediately be a little confused by, including people now like in our industry. So you said that you were brought on for Prelude to a Kiss as an intimacy coordinator.
Yes.
What does that mean? Explain this to the folks.
Yes. Okay. So an intimacy director / coordinator is a person that helps the actors to feel comfortable and safe in their environment within the play. And it also relates to any intimate scene or scenes within the play that maybe the director is unsure about how to choreograph. So then they reach out to me and say, "Can you help us to choreograph these scenes?" So it's any scene that is intimate. I basically choreograph or coordinate and direct. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, but like even with intimacy, what we're talking about is it can be kissing. It could even be hugging.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If something as minor as that. But so how do you do that? How does that work?
Well, first things first, you have to read the script. The script and the script analysis is one of the most, if not the most important thing. You then talk with the director about what they would like their approach to be to each one of these scenes. And then together with the director, we come up with a plan of action, how to choreograph each scene. All of the scenes must be choreographed. That's the really important part about intimacy directors and coordinators is that we choreograph. We don't just say, "Okay, person A and actor B go into the corner and now kiss.
Right.
That
But,
those
like,
days are gone.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that is like sometimes how it was.
Yes, it was.
I mean, I've been in shows before where they're like, "Okay, you guys just kiss,
Same.
go for it," and you're like, "Okay,"
Same.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And there have been all sorts of different thoughts on how to go about that. I know that there's some directors that do it right away, and then some directors who put it off. I'm a put it
Yes.
off kind of person because I think it's a little easier when you get to know the other person. It's awkward though. It's an awkward thing that
can
we
be.
do.
Yeah.
Like period. Even even in real life, kissing is kind of weird if you think about if you break it down. Like I'm going to put my mouth on your mouth. Okay, sure.
Yep.
So doing that with someone who you're maybe not the most comfortable with, or you've got all of those same things running through your mind that oh my gosh, what if they make a pass at me? What if they do? What if they think
Yes.
this is real? And you come in and kind of tap all that down, right? And calm everybody
and
down.
calm everybody down. Yes, it is. I always say that I'm the what is this? What are those things called? I'm the blanket.
Yeah.
But the weighted blanket. I'm the
Yeah.
weighted blanket, the one that comes in and says, "Okay, everybody, everything is just fine."
Right.
But if you need something, I'm also here for your needs.
And so there's all sorts of things like not passwords, but there are right? Like there's language and people
Yes.
create like a code word.
Yes.
And
yes.
all this kind of stuff. It becomes very technical.
It is technical.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important part about intimacy direction, keeping a safe environment, is that it has to be technical. Where we fall into traps are when they're not technical.
Right.
Back in the olden times, there were directors that were taking advantage of actors because they didn't have a person like me
Right.
in play. So,
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody kind of has horror stories about
yes.
a director that did something weird. But
Yes.
also, I think sometimes, as many times, I mean, this kind of sometimes happens willingly, in that actors then are like, "Oh, this is kind of fun. I kind of like this person," and then, or unwillingly, where
Yes.
one actor starts to develop feelings for another, and the other person is not interested or whatever, and so all of this just keeps everybody in check,
in
right?
check. I like that. Yes.
Making sure that we all know this is fake and this
Yes.
is just for pretend and just to
Yes.
tell this story.
Yeah.
How did you even get involved with that? Like,
Man, what a story. Okay, so I was assistant directing at a show, or excuse me, in a play called Legacy of Light at a all-female ran theater company in Atlanta called Synchronicity. And we had an intimacy director come in, and can I say her name?
Sure.
Can I shout her out? Hey, Kristen Storla. Hey, girl. She was our intimacy coordinator. And I instantly was enamored with the idea that there is a person that can come in and choreograph all of these intimate scenes. And I just talked with her a lot about it and tried to figure out, well, how can I get involved in this? And through the whole process, she helped me, and she's kind of like my backstage mentor, and then I just kept researching, kept getting my education with my MFA. I have a teacher in my program that is a certified intimacy coordinator as well. Talks with her. I read a lot of books and taking classes, because that's really important to make sure that that was my shoe.
It's okay.
I was like, that was my shoe. Making sure that I lost my train of thought.
You said you read a lot of books.
Yes, I read
take
a lot of books,
classes.
take a lot of classes. And interestingly enough, the intimacy coordinators and directors just got certified through the union, and they are now like they're a part of the union.
Oh wow!
Union contracts,
Like stage union,
stage union,
hands.
stage and also film
Directors,
film and television.
Oh, that's cool.
So it is. We are now in the union, which is really cool. And it is. I just read on Instagram a couple of days ago that we are the fastest growing section of theater and film industry.
Oh, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense.
Yes.
Because you go from zero to somebody, and it's automatically doubled.
Yes.
So yeah, but and this has been something that kind of came out after COVID. Really, I mean, there was a little bit of talk about it before because I was aware of the position before.
Yeah.
And I honestly, for a couple of years, I've said we really need to get somebody in here to do this because it just helps. Again, keep everybody in check.
Yes.
Make sure that everybody is behaving the way that they're supposed to behave. And yeah. For especially, I think in our case, I mean, it's one thing with professional actors because it is they should still be taken care of, but it is also their job to manage that. Whereas in our world, we have volunteers who may not necessarily have the vocabulary or the. So many actors think, well, I got to because the director said so,
right?
Or so they don't necessarily know how to stand up for themselves in the situation.
Yes.
So I think it's really important on our level to make sure that somebody is looking out for them.
I agree.
I
totally agree, and you're right. It's one of those things where we should have had this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that just now it's revving up and, now we're certified. I'm like, this should have already been a thing. But I am glad that it is certified now and you can get certified and, we have these contracts in the union. So, just trying to make it safer and more comfortable for everyone.
Well, what is your favorite thing about doing that? What do you like about it? I mean, you said you were kind of like immediately attracted to it, and I can feel that because when I first heard about it, I thought that is an interesting job. That would be a really cool job.
I relate to it so much because I have a horror story that I still to this day think about whenever I'm in the space where I'm hired as an ID. I was told literally to go and kiss this person in the corner and to figure it out. Well, as someone with neurodivergency, I freaked out because I'm thinking of all these things in my head that could go wrong or right. But I was thinking of all these things and I'm like, wait, I don't know how to do this. How am I going to do this? What do they think about me? What do I feel about them? And the person, we waited literally, I'm not even kidding, we waited till the day of the performance to practice.
Right.
And it was so horrible. Like it was a really bad experience for me because I just wasn't connected with that person on any kind of level except for friendship.
Right.
And I always think about that, and I'm like, I never want another actor to feel like how I felt. So if I can come in and provide a service where everyone feels comforting, where everyone feels safe, where everybody feels like their opinions can be heard, I'm not going to judge them for it. I'm, going to support them in their decision whether or not they want to make contact, because I have worked in those spaces where people say, I'm not comfortable. I don't want to have any contact on my mouth or my chest or my arm anywhere. And I want to make people feel comfortable. That's really why I feel like it was attractive to me, because I saw that this person was separate from the director, and I could go to that person if I was the actor and felt uncomfortable. I could go to them and say, I don't really feel comfortable doing this, and I don't know who else to tell.
Right.
And I wish I had had that in that moment of that play that I will not mention. It wasn't here. It was not here.
No, it is interesting. I think technically, I mean, my background in college, I studied stage management. And I think a lot of times those kind of things fall on the stage manager who is also kind of spinning a lot of plates.
Yes.
So very often, them having to deal with the intimacy issues or the drama that has come out of the intimacy issues has fallen on them. And I think that's, again, it's nice to have a separate person who isn't not necessarily invested in whether the show happens or not, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Because that's the thing with the director and the stage manager, they have a goal to get this done.
Yes.
And so, and I sense that as a director sometimes too, because somebody comes to you and they you start to get this feeling every time someone approaches you of like, what now?
Yes.
Sure, great. Have you learned your lines yet?
Right.
Can we start there before
there? Yes.
And so, not that the other stuff isn't important. It's just also actors have a really good way of finding the worst possible time.
Oh, don't
to,
they ever?
to bring up, whatever. So it's just nice to have somebody that go talk to this person.
Yes.
They will listen.
Absolutely.
That's their job.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Talking about, let's move to Angry Ruckus.
Yeah.
So you also got hired to direct Angry Ruckus. There's no intimacy, right?
No intimacy.
No intimacy
No.
to coordinate. So what is that like? What is that like for you as a director?
Oh my goodness. These women are some of the most hardworking, talented actors that I've worked with in a really long time. There is no drama, zero. And we all like each other. They all love each other. And I come into rehearsals every day and I'm excited to be there. There have been some times when I've directed that, I'm kind of like, okay, let me put on my big girl pants and walk on in and do this. But it's not with this one. It's where I just walk in and we all greet each other and we sing songs and we tell jokes and we just had that rapport with each other from day one. Even in auditions, I can remember thinking, okay, these people would match really well to these characters, but also they're just really good people. And so I'm just really enjoying the process with all of them, including my unofficial assistant director / stage manager, Jarrell Woods. He has just been the biggest help with so many things. And I mean, we all just really like each other and we really get along and we're trying to make and produce a really good product for our audience.
So tell me what Angry Ruckus is about.
Oh, goodness. Okay. I have a few notes. Well, actually, one thing that I noticed, I'm not sure who made the promotion. I know who made the promotion photo, but whoever did the promotional writing about the show, it was really good.
Okay.
I don't know who did it, but it was spot on. And I wrote that it was a legendary Black actress who returns to the stage after decades of living in Europe, only to face the next generation's evolving ideas about art and activism. And that is to a T what the show is about. An elder, I don't want to say elderly. I mean, she is 65, so she's an aging actress who did this really wild one-woman play. I don't want to give it away because it'll give some things away, but she did this one-woman play and it didn't go well. And so she and her partner moved away to Europe for 30 years, and they're called back to Atlanta to perform, or so she thinks, perform the same play, but 30 years later. So it's all about this ageism, a lot of ageism, and how do we pass the torch as the older artist? How do we pass the torch to the younger artists coming up? And what does that look like for us that are myself included? I mean, I'm old.
We won't talk about it.
We won't
Yes.
talk about it. A Southern lady never reveals her age. But as an aging artist, I find myself saying, okay, where is there a place for me?
Mhm.
And this play is deeply rooted in that. Those questions of, well, if not this that I've been doing my whole life, then
Right.
where?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think everybody can relate to that, even if you're not an actor. I
Yeah.
think any profession, you do have but where do I fit in? How does this? Because as things grow and change and morph,
Yeah.
you either have to adapt and move along with it, or sometimes you just get tired of adapting.
Oh,
You
that's
know
so
what I mean?
true. That is
It's
true.
like, and it's interesting because theater is changing a lot. It's been changed a lot.
Yes.
Like I see it a lot in the kids
Yes.
because the kids are very different than the kids were when I first got here.
Yes, they are.
And so like I think how people experience theater is changing. And I think the reasons that people want to do theater are changing. I think the reasons that people want to see theater are changing,
That's true.
Yeah. It's it's a very interesting idea or concept, at least for a play, of to say, what about this appeals to me, or does it anymore?
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you know if that? And you may not know. Do you know if this is something that would seem to come out of like a personal place for Pearl, or
Yeah. So I've watched a number of interviews with Pearl, and she never quite says, but she never doesn't say.
Right.
It's one of those things where she beats around the bush and she's like, oh, well, I know some people who act like
Well,
this,
yeah.
So I imagine it probably does have some ring of truth to it in her life. I do know that she has traveled internationally, and several of her plays have to do with living in Paris, living in London, living in Europe, and then coming back to the United States. So I imagine this probably does have somewhat to do with her life. Also, we are having a Zoom with her.
That's very cool.
It's so cool. I'm so excited. We have a Zoom with her next Tuesday. I think it's a 2-hour Zoom, and I'm just going to ask her all the questions about this play. And yeah, I'm really excited.
That'll be
about that.
that's great. That's a great experience for for actresses in the show as well.
Yes.
And it's all women, right?
Yeah, all women. Well, there's 4 women characters, but we double cast one of the characters, Kate. We did a double cast, and but yes, all women, and all African American women. Yeah.
So, what do you wish that you knew you had? What do you wish that you knew before you started this career? What is something that you wish someone had told you?
Oh my goodness. That no matter how talented you are, no matter how many years of theater camp or or university training, nothing can actually prepare you except for real world experience. Nothing can prepare you for Tech Week.
Right.
Nothing can really prepare you for how to communicate with production team. When I was teaching, I had a student ask me, "Well, how do you know how to talk to the production team?" And I was like, "Oh man, that's a really good question. I never thought about that. Communication skills. I wish someone had really sat me down and said, "Okay, you're so supported in college. You're so supported in these acting groups, but when you get into the real world, just know that everybody has their own thing going on, and you have to, if you think you're communicating, over communicate.
Right.
because it's better to over communicate than under communicate.
It's always what I found is one, yes, school is a way to teach you
Yes.
ideally how things should work, right? Because like ideally you get in a car, you start the engine and it goes and you drive to where you need to go.
Yes.
Just like when you learn to drive a car, that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Life teaches you that there are potholes that will put flats on your car.
That's true.
Or you're going to run out of, it took me several years to learn how to fill up my car so I don't run out of gas. Because I'm the person that drives on E because I'm
Same.
like, it stands for, you get there, And so, yeah, it is interesting. Like school, not to say that school isn't important.
Yeah.
It's great to have an environment in which you are supported.
Yes.
But I think you're right. Like, I see oftentimes a big frustration for some people, especially who get their masters or whatever, and they come out and they're like, "No, it's supposed to work this way."
Right.
And I'm like, "Oh no, baby,
no.
Baby girl, the world works however it wants to, and you have to adapt. You have to use all that knowledge that you went to school for,
Yes.
and adapt it to the living, breathing situation."
Adapting.
Yeah.
That was a life lesson for me, was adapting to each theater is different.
Yep.
I mean, it can be a union company or community theater or a semi-pro. It doesn't matter. Each theater is so different, and you have to learn how to adapt. And that is the biggest, that's the biggest thing that I would say. I wish I had been told that.
But here's the thing: whether you're told or not, you find out pretty quick.
We found out real quick. Yeah.
So if this wasn't your profession, what other profession would you attempt? What
my
would you like
gosh.
to do if this wasn't it?
A psychiatrist.
Oh, interesting. See, I have
Yes.
the same thing. But I think that's what attracts us to the directing aspect of
Yes.
it. And is like, my thing as a director is, why do they do that?
Same.
Right?
Same.
So that's all psychiatry.
Yes.
Wh-
Yes.
Which is weird. And in some ways, I think about it sometimes like, are we putting people in unhealthy situations where they literally torture themselves over and over
Yeah,
again? Because
yeah.
your body doesn't know the difference between
It does not.
like real fear and fear that we've created.
Right,
Right.
right.
And so, from a psychological aspect, it is very strange to put yourself through emotions and experience them over and over again on purpose.
On purpose. Yeah. Are we masochist?
A little bit. A little bit.
I think so. Yes, I would be a psychiatrist. I have always been interested in the human brain. And even to this day, I still read books on psychology. And when I was enrolled at UTC, I took, I think, four or five psychology classes. And I've just always really been in love with psychology. So that's a no-brainer for me. Yeah.
Very cool. So what have you learned from this field, from working in this, that you think other people should know? What is something that just like, I say normal people, non-theater people.
Non-theater people.
Is there anything that you've learned that you think people don't appreciate or should appreciate or might need to think about before doing it?
Don't take things too personal, period. Whether that be you didn't get an audition, you didn't get to direct your favorite show that came up in your favorite theater company, or whether you're in a position to hire people and they don't accept the role, don't take anything personal, because people have all kinds of things going on. And they're in all different walks of life. I think that's really important because theater people, we're very emotional people.
Yeah.
Whether or not we want to put that facade on or that wall, whatever you want to call it, we're very emotional. And I think a lot of times we're like, that director didn't give me he or she didn't cast me, and I'm never gonna go to that theater and audition again. It's too personal. We need, because I mean, the director might use you for something else.
I at every audition I say it, and it's totally true. Whether or not you get cast has nothing to do with your talent. Literally nothing. You can do all the right things in an audition. You can sing well. You can tap dance. You can do all of those things and still not be the person for the role.
Yes.
And that is very hard, I think. I mean, it is, again, this goes back to the psychology of acting. We do put ourselves in a very vulnerable position because you are literally standing up in front of someone and saying, choose me.
Choose me. That's true. Know what I mean? That's so true.
And so, but you do have to develop a thick skin, because when they don't choose you, it really has nothing to do with you.
It doesn't. And one thing I've started doing in the past year, in several of the shows that I've directed, I've started asking, or not asking, I've started saying at the end of auditions, if you don't get cast, please feel free to reach out to me if you would like any feedback. And that's been really successful for me. I've had several people reach out and be like, I'm interested to know. I'm interested why, or if you have any feedback for me or acting wise. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So,
it's so interesting. So I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like, listen, don't reach out to me for feedback, because the feedback is the same for everybody. It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? And if it is you, most of those people don't want to hear from me. Do you know what I mean? Like with kids, for example, if it's behavioral.
Yes.
Do you want to hear that? Like, you still have to mind your manners in an audition, you know, or
that's true.
Or, you talked over the choreographer while she was trying to talk, or, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think that's the thing, is I would be happy to, if there were people who needed that kind of feedback, but they're not the ones that ask. The people that ask are always the ones that are like, no, baby, you got it. You're good. It's just not your time, you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard, because as much as we do stuff here too, we're doing 10 or 11 shows a year, there's still some folks that come through that don't get cast. Joyce Benson, for example, who I know you love her. I love her. She was in Murder on the Orient Express. She auditioned several times. And I even told her one time, I said, she did not reach out for feedback. I just sent her a message, and I was like, we need to find something for you, because you are a personality that needs to be seen, you know, but it's almost like you have to find a role that the role fits her rather than her fitting the role. Do you know what I mean? Like she's so funny and so sweet.
She is
and so great.
So sweet.
And takes chances.
She is vulnerable in rehearsals and has really good insight to her character already, and I absolutely adore her.
And she's one of those people that auditioned 3-4 times at least, you know, before she got in, and now she's the kind of person that I would look for a role for her, because she's so enjoyable to be around.
She really is. She really is.
So that's the other thing is, I mean, I think if people feel like they keep doing, you know, they're doing the thing, they're showing up, they are dancing, they're singing or doing the monologue or whatever it is. And after a while, I think some people do get really, they react too quickly, perhaps. Like, I tried it once and I didn't get it, so I must be bad, you know? And I think that it takes some time.
It does.
To be noticed. And I think that's true regardless of whether you're talking professional, semi-professional, or amateur theater. And the other part of that is that kind of, you touched on this a little bit, like, you know, every theater has its own personality and its own way of working. And sometimes with directors, them working with people, it's like, I like working with them because it's easier. I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to second guess myself. I don't have to, you know. And the same thing is true for theaters too. Like, oh, we like this director because they make it easy, or you know.
And that's a thing.
It is a thing. I mean, it's the reason that Tim Burton cast Johnny Depp. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He can cast anybody in the world, but that's who he works well with.
He's got his J Depp.
Right, exactly. And that happens on this level too.
Yeah, it does.
It happens everywhere. It makes sense, you know. But I agree with you. I wish that people knew not to take it personally.
Yeah.
You know, it's a weird thing it's a weird hobby to have, so to speak, of creating emotions out of nothing. living through stuff that you don't have to, like, breaking up with somebody every night or, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not personal. Everybody's just trying to do. I think that comes with age though too. I mean, for me, that's a big part of it is like with my age, I'm starting to realize, nothing was ever really about me.
Right. I mean,
I was present. I was there, but it wasn't about me.
Exactly. Exactly. I have similar ideas because it's like, oh, wow, was I that self-centered to think that all the times I didn't get hired or cast in something that's like, oh, they just don't like me.
Right.
No, it wasn't about you. It was about their show.
That's what I tell the actors all the time. I'm like, I'm going to say the worst thing I could possibly say to you. It's not about you.
It's not about you.
Like, little blank faces.
Yeah.
Just since Angry Raucous is about the entertainment industry and about an actress, who is an actor or actress that you admire and why?
Oh my goodness. That's a hard one. You mean in Angry and Raucous?
No, like in just...
Oh, just in general?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, let me think on this one. Somebody I admire. I really admire Denzel Washington. And that might sound like a church answer. That's like, what is that? What can be found in the Bible? God. Just like, but I think I admire him because he has never had a scandal. He's never had any kind of negative scandal. He's had this one wife that he's been married to for like 1,000 years. They have this beautiful life, but nobody knows about it.
Right.
And he's just like, he seems to live this very reserved and peaceful life away from media. And also, he just is a really good actor. I really appreciate that he kind of broke the mold for African-American male actor. I mean, he was just constantly booked. And so he was playing these roles that we hadn't seen African-American men play before. And he was leads in a lot of these. And I just really respect his work. And I really think that his lifestyle just seems so chill. And I like that.
It's interesting because I think basically Maggie Smith just passed away, and she's like my
that was hard on
my
me.
person that I love, and it's similar sort of thing that I think that it's actors who are working actors, and they're not so much a personality. They're not trying to. I mean, Meryl Streep, we know virtually nothing about her personal life. I mean,
true.
It is interesting. And then I think you have celebrities.
Yes.
Where the whole point is we have to know what color their underwear are.
Yeah. And I'm like, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. But it is interesting. It's this is kind of a takeaway, a little bit piggybacking on something you said earlier too, with school is living your life as an actor, as an artist, having relationships, having a family, having school plays to go to and church and all of those things actually inform you as an artist so much.
Yes.
And that was one of the things that they told us in school is like, do everything that you possibly can. Don't say no to anything. Go hang gliding. Go, bungee jumping. Whatever it is, go to the Amazon. Go to New York City. Go because the experiences help you. You never know what experience you have to create.
Yes.
So,
I like that.
having those experiences informs the work.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you, Scott.
Oh, okay.
So Maggie Smith was one of your
ultimate actor. Yeah.
Same. What is your house?
Well, I'm Gryffindor.
I knew it.
I mean, come
I
on.
knew it.
But I have a lot of Hufflepuff friends.
Okay. Yes.
Most of my friends are Hufflepuffs, and I'm like,
Yeah. But we're just so lovable.
They are. Hufflepuffs are lovable.
Yes.
But yeah, I've tried it several times in different
Same.
ways. Always Gryffindor.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I am. I've only done it like 6 times. I say only 6 times. That's a lot. And 3 were Huffle and 3 were Gryffindor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
So you're
it's
like on the
weird.
cusp.
I'm on the cusp. Yeah.
That means I was reading about this. That means that the hat would probably talk to you, and you would get to decide which house you wanted to be in.
That's cool.
Or they would ask you more questions.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, that's neat.
That is neat. Was there any other question that you thought that I should ask you, or that you wanted me to ask you, or?
Oh, not that I can think of. Yeah, no, I think that was everything.
Well, thank you for being my guest.
Yes,
A couple of
thank you.
things. Angry, Raucous, and Shamelessly Gorgeous. Full title. Hard to remember, but we're getting there. Everybody's getting better at it around here. Opens on November 8th and runs through the 24th.
Yes.
And also opening December 6th and running through January 5th is Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka, which will be on the main stage for the holidays. And you can also purchase anytime tickets, and get to both of those shows.
Oh, that's cool.
For a discounted price. So you can go to our website, theatercenter.com, and purchase those. If you're interested, we keep trying to do a mailbag. We haven't had a lot of response, but if you have any questions that you would like us to answer for you, you can always email us at hello@theatercenter.com. That's theater RE, center RE. Because we were clever. But if you do, I think with the website, at least you probably get a redirect, but our emails, all the time people email us and it doesn't go through because they've misspelled one of those words. But please email us at hello@theatercenter and give us some questions. We would love to talk about that on the air as well. So again, thank you so much for being my guest. It was lovely talking to you.
You
and
as well.
Best of luck with rehearsal. I can't wait to see it.
We're so excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you.